Well, let's start with this, Joy. The difference with the Cowboys and Buccaneers, the difference with those two teams is this. Dallas lost, and they feel pretty good about themselves today. I mean, Dak is healthy. Coming off 2 surgeries, he threw it almost 60 times. They dominated the time of possession. Offensive line held up against the great defensive line. Zeke was a non-factor, and they were in it to the end. They're pretty happy today, and they lost. Tampa won, but they had 4 turnovers, over 100 yards in penalties, only 1 rushing first down. I don't think Bruce Arians and Tom Brady are the least bit happy. I think Tampa looks at it as a winner and is frustrated today with all their mistakes. That's the difference. Successful people in life, successful companies, and successful teams aren't satisfied with winning. Winning is what winners do every day. It's how they perform. And Tampa didn't perform well last night. I mean, that Chris Godwin fumble was a killer. That game should have been over with 8 minutes to go. All those penalties. Tom Brady, that offensive line, they just won the Super Bowl. Penalties, timing, fumbles, can't catch a screen pass. To me, Dallas is still in the business of moral victories. You talked to Cowboy fans this morning. They lost. They're happy. Went on the road, toe-to-toe physically. Tough place to play. You know, made life uncomfortable for Tom Brady. In this league, one thing is almost always true. The more ways you can win, the better team you are. Watching Dallas last night, they feel like a better version of last year's Cowboys. They can only win one way, shootouts. That's it. Now, last year I kept saying, last couple years I've been on Dak Prescott, I call him Dak and Dunk. A lot of short stuff. It was an elevated version of that. Not a lot of deep routes last night. In fact, the first time he threw the ball deep down the field, it was intercepted. CeeDee Lamb should have caught it, but it was intercepted. But it is a kind of a one-dimensional team. They're not great on special teams. In fact, I'd say they're bad. I don't love their coach at all. Their pass rush is very hit and miss. Zeke might as well have been an offensive lineman. They have one way to beat you. And for the record, the good news is Dak is productive. Dak played with a ton of physical confidence coming off surgeries. He hung in there. He was only sacked once, but they were hovering around Dak all night long. He played with a ton of confidence. Sat in there, fumbled a ball, picked it up and threw it. I don't worry about that. But this is a very Dak-dependent team. Very Dak-dependent. Now, here's the good news. It's not all negative. They don't face a playoff team from last year until November, Kansas City. If you look at Dallas' schedule, 3 of the next 4 weeks, they face rebuilding teams, Philly, Carolina, and New York. After that, they get Denver and Atlanta at home. So this is why I had Dallas as a 9-win team and a playoff team. I don't have them as a hosting playoff games, winning divisions. They got too much holes. They can only win one way. But I will say this. Schedules matter. Divisions matter. It's a bad division. Giants are still kind of rebuilding. Philadelphia's rebuilding. Washington's close, but they're not perfect, especially at quarterback. But here's a stat to remember, is that Dallas is now, after last night, 0-17 when they score less than 30 points since 2019. They have one way to win. So I think this morning, they feel pretty good about last night. They lost, but they feel pretty good about it. Here's Dak.
Obviously, you want to run the ball more. You want to be balanced, but the pass was working for us. And so that's just the way that the game played out. And we've got the talent on offense and the talent on around the board to be able to do that. You can be great and come up short, right? I mean, I felt like that's what tonight was. It was a great effort, but we came up short, and we want to be the best. And the best is simply being better than the other guy day in and day out and being the best in the league. And that's the expectations that we have and those guys have. So we're just all going to hold each other to that.
All right, let's shift to Tom Brady. Been talking about it this week. He's beyond explanation. If you can tell the difference between 44-year-old Tom Brady and 34-year-old Tom Brady, congratulations. I cannot. Last night, watching the game, I was YouTubing younger Brady. I can't tell the difference. Can't tell. He threw a couple of seam routes that were lasers. I can't tell. Gronk and Brady looked like the same stuff I watched in New England 10 years ago. In fact, I thought Brady's numbers, which were really good, were actually deceiving. He went 32 of 50 and a 97 passer rating, but he had one pick and a Hail Mary. He had another pick because his running back couldn't catch a screen pass, and then he had 3 straight passes at the end of the game out of bounds purposefully to just eat some clock. So 32 of 50 felt more like 35 of 48 to me, with no interceptions that were really his fault. I also thought he was the more aggressive quarterback last night. I threw the ball deeper downfield, threw it into the seam multiple times. I thought he attacked. Not a lot of dink and dunk, although they love the bubble screens in Tampa. Tom also knows he's got an excellent defense. So Tom knows he can make mistakes. I mean, that play right there to the right, that thing was a weird throw. But Tom knows he doesn't have to play perfect because Tampa can win a lot of ways. They can win with coaching. They can win with defense. They can win with special teams. They can win. You know, what's amazing about Tampa's offensive weapons, it's like Brady's a chef with perfect produce. He's got so many different. He's got Mike Evans, 6'7", red zone nightmare. He's got Scotty Miller, the burner. AB is shifty. Chris Godwin's the technician. Gronk is the blocker, sure-handed guy. I mean, he's got one of everything. And I think that's so valuable because I think there's so many different ways they can beat you. Here's another way they can beat you. At the line of scrimmage. Gronk talks about that play at the line of scrimmage. This is classic Gronk telling us a little secret about this play right here and what truly happened. Here it is.
Tom made a great call. I think I was actually on a route, and then he checked me into blocking, and then he checked me into blocking and then releasing. And I was like, oh, man, he just sees it all on the field. It's impressive. I mean, you guys have been playing for, like 80 years, seen every defense, seen every player. It's a play we've scored a couple of tugs on in our career. So, but no more talking about that play because I like that play. I don't like anyone knowing about it.
That's the part of football that Joy and I don't see, you don't see, is the audibling. Forget the fact that they've got speed and shiftiness and size and sure-handedness. I mean, Gronk has the best hands I've ever seen on any player in the league. It's insane. The best hands I've ever seen. But they do this better than anybody now. Now that Peyton Manning's out of the league, nobody manipulates the line of scrimmage like Brady. And so when I look at Dallas, I see a team that is fun with one way to beat you. When I look at Tampa, I see a team that can beat you with coaching, line of scrimmage, speed, power, special teams, and that's the difference between the two. Dallas pretty happy today, lost. Tampa won, and I don't think Arians and Brady are the least bit satisfied. It was a really, really great night of action. And these